Welcome to another episode of the High Level Playbook. In this podcast, in 20 minutes or less, I'm going to share with you guys leadership tips and mindset tips. And today, we are going to talk about the next gen leadership for youth. So before we get started, I do want to say one thing. Did you guys know right now, and these are solid facts, if you're a parent to a child and you're preparing your child like how I am, this is for you. Right now, there is 40% of unemployment rate for college grads. I'm talking about 40%. That's a lot. This is including for jobs that's white collar and non-white collar. Okay. We live in the world right now, and this is no secret to anyone, that AI is taking over the entry-level jobs. The automation is taking over the entry-level jobs. Those jobs are shrinking. And in my line of work, I do a lot of executive coaching. I work with CEOs, I work with companies, and last year was a huge wake-up call. Me and my team went into a Fortune 500 company. We went in and we realized that a lot of these jobs, not only that it's being replaced by AI, there's a leadership problem. Let me tell you why. Traditionally, you get a good college degree, you get your resume ready, you go in for an internship, you get a job. You climb the corporate ladder, you find a mentor, and you work yourself up. That is gone. But corporations are still going to be there. Businesses are still going to be there. So the biggest question right now is, how do you get ready for the leadership role? Because everything is changing very rapidly. So the one thing I want to highlight over here, and this is for everyone, AI is changing, and it is very real that there is a fear that AI is taking over the job market. Now, what I'm here to say is, be irreplaceable. Be able to lead with AI. So there's 3 questions if you're watching this, whether the replay or whether you're with me live. Hi guys. There's 3 things you want to think about. Okay, the first thing is, where is the world going? Answer these questions. The second thing is, where will value be created? And then the third thing is, how do I position myself to participate in that future? And once you could understand that, you're really leading with AI. When we're leading with AI, it's really simple. We're thinking. We are thinking. So this episode specifically, I do want to talk about the youth in the job market. You know, I have 3 boys, and 2 of them are going into teenager. One is, and one is about to. And as a mother, this is a very strong sense of urgency for me, because my goal is to take care of them until they're 18. But once they're 18, give them everything that they need so they could go out into the world and trailblaze. Someone very wisely told me, don't give your kids the material things that you did not have, but give them the wisdom that you did not have. And that's why this is where I want to highlight right now. You know, this is for parents, especially if you have kids that's high school going into college, or college ready, getting to the real world, getting career ready. Okay, so for high school students, right, they start to think about their future typically around sophomore. And once they understand your future, the first thing is, we want to get into the right college and the right path, right? If you don't want to go to college, that's okay too. But for me, I always want my kids to know what is their next 10-year plan, and they can self-lead. The worst thing is, they don't know what they want to do. They are at home watching TV, playing Roblox. That's not how I want to raise my kids. And the thing with the university applications right now is, the top 10 schools are really hard to get in. You know, the standard stuff, most people know, get good grades, extracurricular activities, but the truth of the matter is, the college university applications, they take 4 minutes for admin. They screen your application 4 minutes to determine if they want to interview with you or not. However, on the other side, the lower tier schools, the lower tier colleges, they have a problem of enrolling students. I know a school where I live called Cal State Fullerton. Excuse me. Before, it was 2.5 GPA to get in. They had to lower the GPA because they need to take more students. So you see, there is a big gap. And the way I look at it, it's almost like the rich, it's not almost, it is the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. So one thing that I have learned from my late mentor, which is Bob Proctor, he said, decide where you want to be. If you want to be in the 1%, decide now. It doesn't matter where you came from. This doesn't matter where you're at. It's where you're heading, right? So if you follow and if you're with me, and you're like, yeah, this is something I want to listen to, because this is something I want to equip my kids, then I want you to pay close attention to this, because college applications, they're not looking at your your good grades. They're not looking at your activities. They're looking at if you are able to lead and trailblaze. There is an influx of students coming in right now. So a few things, right? What is your kids wants to do in their life? When they're in a high school, junior and senior, that's a great time to start thinking about it, right? They're thinking about their career, they're thinking about which college and which major. But help them understand, what is your skill set? What are you good at? What industry do you want to be in? You know, I always like to paint the life. How do you want to live your life? Because now we can step them into the right path. The key is we want them to be able to see, for me, I want them to be able to see after they graduate from college, what is the next 5 to 7 year or even 10-year plan that they have. Another thing too is that it's the entrepreneur mindset, okay? I'm a leadership coach. I have worked with people all around the world. Mindset is a thing. It's very important to me. It's everything, because I remember my mentor told me 95% mindset, 5% strategy. Why is that? Strategy is changing. The world is changing. So without the mindset, that's when people give up. That's when people get stuck. To have the mindset is to know where you're heading towards and be able to leverage your talents, your skills, your ambitions, your motivations, you know, especially for kids. Almost 100% of the parents. And if you agree with me, say something in the comment. We all know there is something in our kids. They're very talented. But yet a lot of kids, they just want to hang out or they can't find the ambition in them. So once we can help them really see what they want in the future, that's how you get them to become self-motivated. And that's really important, because once they're self-motivated, guess what? They're proactive. They're not reactive, right? Do you guys know any friends of yours when you went to major, came out and you're like, I don't want to do that? Because they didn't know what they want. So understanding that, teaching them the importance of entrepreneur mindset, because everything is changing. You know, even if you work with a company, it's still important because you have entrepreneurs. To be able to grow and lead in a company, you got to be able to lead projects. And many times you got to be able to lead your boss as well. Being able to manage, being able to speak up, being able to communicate effectively, being able to have a charismatic personality. Charismatic personality. Why charismatic? Because that's the most effective leadership. What is charismatic personality? Let me just break this down a little bit. Charismatic is knowing how to lead with empathy and knowing how to lead with confidence. Too much empathy becomes too soft and people lose respect. Too much confidence becomes too hard, and guess what? Even if you have a great idea, most people, they don't want to listen to you. So it's having that balance, and that's a soft skill. So being able to lead our kids in the world of AI is we got to teach them how to be able to lead. And unfortunately, right now, the school system is broken. Now, I'm fully aware every state is different, so I can only speak for where I'm at, California, because I do know my son is being taught at school right now saying that don't use AI because it's cheating. One way I can understand where they're coming from. They want the kids to use their brain. But the way I want to raise my kids is use your brain to think, but also leverage AI. So you're able to lead with AI. That's very important. And same thing for the college students. There's a lot of college students, they got their degrees, job market is hard, excuse me, job market is hard. They're trying to look for a job and they feel completely stuck. And it always goes to as simple as, what is it that you want? What is the vision that you have that they really want that could get them motivated? Because once we could do that, when we start to activate our thinking, that's when all the ideas come into place. And then we got to take action. AI right now is fantastic to come out with plans, right? Information is everywhere now. I'll tell you the difference with someone that could lead and someone that could just use AI to get information. You could get all the information, but what are you doing with it? Are you acting with the plan that you're coming out with? That is leadership. It's to be able to think, to be able to know, to be able to plan strategically, and be able to take action and be able to lead. I always say this, before you can lead others, you've got to lead yourself. And this is today's episode. My name is Lilian Victoria. I am your host for this evening. And I'm also launching the Next Gen Leadership Academy because this is a problem that I see. I want to help my kids. I want to support other parents' kids. And this is exactly what I'm going to help them with their future. So If you're listening to this, follow, subscribe. I'm on Substack, I'm on YouTube, I'm on podcast, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. And I look forward to see you guys in the next episode. And by the way, if you find value in this, please go ahead and share with a friend. I'll see you guys. Bye.